This segment is from the Piano Inspires podcast, Season 2, Episode 11, featuring Peter Mack with host Andrea McAllister.
You found your own path and you realized that teaching by fear was not going to work.
Yes.
So you found your way in the way that you needed to find it. And you're such a gifted storyteller. And I've always, from the very moment that I saw you teach many, many years ago at a Masterclass, and I remember the story you were talking about competitions and a farmer's market. I don't know if you remember that story, but the way you're able to connect with your students and the audience, how did this whole storytelling aspect of you come about? I find it interesting. Your father was a minister and your mother was a school teacher. Were you always in an environment where storytelling was a large part?
I mean, I'm Irish, and that is a really big part. And also, I mean, I'm sorry you thought this was an interview, but it was a monologue because you ask a question and 20 minutes later I paused for breath
because you're a storyteller.
So when I think of Masterclasses, one of the things that I realized by going to Masterclasses that sometimes you go to Masterclasses and they're dull. Mm-hmm. And they're dull because the person giving the Masterclass is teaching a lesson. And mm-hmm. if you teach a lesson, you say, well, here, and you point to a place in the music, you've got to do more of this. And you point to whatever it is that's written in the music, and the student goes, and they do more of that, and it's sort of and that's great. But if you're in a masterclass like that, you're looking, and the teacher says, "Here, you've got to do more of this," and in the audience, you've no idea what here is, what it is that they've got to do more of. But almost more importantly, why do they need to do more of that? And the reason you've got to do more of this because who knows why, but you need to tell the audience. And when you teach a masterclass, I believe that you're teaching not the student, but you are teaching the audience, because there was a really good teacher from Washington State. Her name is Cassandra Carr. And she was talking about this in a class, a master class. And she said something like, I'm teaching, but I'm not teaching the student. I'm teaching you. And she pointed to the audience. And she said, because, she had a student who was in a master class and she was doing sonata. The child student was doing a sonata. And the teacher said, this is in sonata allegro form. Do you know what that is? And the child went, no. And so then the rest of the masterclass was talking about sonata, the first subject and the second subject, and how there's contrast and all that stuff. And Cassandra was in the audience fuming because not only did the student know what sonata form was because she had taught her, but the student had done for extra credit a paper on sonata allegro form, but just because the student was there and like the deer in the headlights, she had no idea what was going on. So when you teach, the student is not going to remember. The student is just full of fear, and it's scary, and so you teach the audience. And then how do you teach the audience? Well, you try and be entertaining, because if you say, here you need to do more of this, the audience is lost. So you are doing like the hyper teaching. You're more yourself than you ever are, because you have to be entertaining. And if I think of sort of entertaining teachers like Ingrid Clarefield, I mean, she's just, you are there and she is performing and she is larger than life, and it's wonderful. When I also teach sort of I go to things. You said I'm here at the national conference, and one of the things why am I here? I'm here because, and why do I go to conferences? Because you get to see wonderful, wonderful people teach, and you get to go, and I remember, if I think of sort of moments where the scales dropped from my eyes, Marvin Blickenstaff in Oklahoma, he taught a student, and the boy was, it was an intermediate student, and they played a piece, and Marvin worked only on sound. And he worked on the sound, and the boy played, and he worked again and again and again and again. And finally the boy played, and the sound was just beautiful. Only on, 1 bar or 2 bars or whatever. And the boy left, and Marvin said to us, to the audience, he said, "My goal here is to try to make him make a sound that is so beautiful that he gets addicted to it. And when he's addicted to it, he's going to want to go to the piano, and he's going to want to practice, because he's going to look for that sound that he now knows that he can make." And that's genius. I mean,
it's motivating by beauty instead of fear.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And so that's sort of, I mean, Martin, I mean, I don't know if Martin, he changed my teaching in that one thing. And of course, I mean, he's, your founder, and the whole, and he's done that to so many people.
Yes.
That's just, and also, I mean, another sort of on the same lines, one of my friends was a student of Frances Clark. And he said that she always used to say, "We're not running the house of corrections here."
Yes.
And, because it's so easy when you're teaching to go, the fourth finger should go on that B flat. Right. And, maybe fourth finger should go on that B flat. But isn't it more important that B flat makes you cry?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Be sure to listen to the full episode on our website, pianoinspires.com, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.